Hey everyone, welcome to Coming Down. My name is Nathan. I am here with Matthew.
Hey everybody.
Hey man, back again. Consecutive week after week. I'm going to keep saying it while we keep doing it.
Here's the thing is I was like, oh God, we've said this 2 weeks in a row. What if we don't do it a third week?
I know, man.
But the third week makes it real. And so if we have to take a week off after this, like, we're good.
No.
That's just a break in the cycle.
No, we're going to do it.
Oh, we absolutely are.
No, we actually need to, double up on some weeks here so we can get some stuff in the bank so that when we do have to take a week off, we got shit. But
I mean, like, we really need to get a move on because we're almost into the fucking holiday season. But like,
I know, right?
We're gonna get there. November's usually chill up until the last week.
Hey, luckily, we don't have family up here, so the holidays don't usually consume all our time. In fact, it often frees up time because I'll get extra days off, little stretches.
Right? Well, and shit. I mean, I know that a lot of people think COVID's over already, but it's so not.
Oh, it's fucking ain't not, dude.
Yeah, I'm not doing shit for the holidays. Are you kidding me?
No. Yeah, y'all ready for the 9th wave?
Yeah,
seriously.
Fucking hell.
Hey, but here in Oregon, we're about to hit the 80% threshold.
Yeah, which is
finally.
Great.
So, and kids are approved to get vax now and stuff, so that's going to make a big difference.
That's got to be a huge relief for so many parents. I mean,
it's a huge relief for everyone because schools are literally kind of the hot spots now,
Well, and think about it. Kids 5 through 12, who is sticking their hands in their mouths, Jesus.
Kids are filthy. Yeah. I mean, yeah, dude. As some of our teacher friends know, it's you get sick 5 times a year just working on kids. So,
fuck yeah. I mean, every single teacher that I've ever known is basically from November to May March. I just have a non-specific respiratory infection.
Yep, totally. Man, it's teachers and nurses, I swear, are some of the hardest partying people I've ever met. And also, consistently sick. There's, some sort of parallel to those people.
There's a corollary there?
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also, extremely underpaid for what they do, so.
Oh my God, yeah. Holy
Which actually
shit.
will tie me into what I wanted to bring up here. Winnie just knows that we're recording. It's she hasn't said anything all night, and then I turn the mic on, and she's like, "Let's fucking meow a ton." Yep. Well, whatever. Get in here. You probably got a story.
Yeah. I mean, she's just the fourth member of the crew.
Tell us about that cat you saw earlier, or the crows that you saw earlier.
Fridge, guys.
Oh yeah, the fridge. Yeah, we got a brand new fridge today, and Winnie did not like that because there were people in the house. But before I get into it, we'll do the quick housekeeping stuff.
I do want to say just one more bullshit thing before you get into the housekeeping. We got to do a shout out to Sand.
Oh, dude! Yes, yeah. Shout out to Sand.
So it took a long time.
Yeah, you were there. You were there from the beginning,
from the literal beginning,
and just getting snubbed year after year. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this year. The Toy Hall of Fame inducted American Girls dolls.
Yeah, I mean...
The Game of Risk.
Also, solid choice.
Sand.
Just fucking literal sand.
Just actual fucking sand.
Yep.
They're your time has come, Sand.
Yeah.
You're in the pantheon of legends like Risk
Fans
and American Girls dolls.
Fans have been waiting for literal millennia.
Yeah, dude. Since the dawn of time, some might say.
We finally got there.
We got there, man. I was always rooting for Sand. Every year it came and went, and I was when's Sand gonna get its due?
I'm in your corner, Sand.
Yeah.
When are you gonna get there?
You've been good to me for a long time. I played with more Sand than I played games of Risk. Likely.
That is provably true for almost every person.
Yeah. So, maybe next year Dirt as a whole will get its due.
We're still waiting on Dirt and Sticks, man.
Sticks?
Sticks?
All right.
How have Sticks not made it?
Dude.
Number one choice for kids in my neighborhood,
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, shout out Sand. How can we get Sand to sponsor this thing, dude? Now that they've hit the big time.
Whew, yeah, I mean, like,
yo, Big Sand, hit us up.
Yeah, honestly, if anyone out there is like part of Big Sand, like, we're your guys. We got you.
Yeah, we'll prop you up, man. We'll have you on. You probably got Sand. You probably got stories to tell. Yeah, that was one of the funniest news articles I read last week.
I've had that one in my pocket since like Tuesday of last week.
Jesus Christ! Like I had to triple read the headline. Like sand? Do you mean? Do you just mean sand?
Like actual
like
sand?
Regular non-capital letter sand, lowercase s sand. Turns out, yes.
Yep, that's the one.
Got there, and like the bucket. The castle bucket is now waiting its due because it's jealous.
It wasn't part, like, they weren't like sand and sand related accessories.
No.
It's just sand.
Just sand.
Yeah.
I mean, magnets might get their due because those play pretty well with sand. Pulls the iron out of the sand.
Ooh, I don't know. Rare earth. I mean, technically there is some rare earth in sand.
Yes.
I don't know.
What doesn't sand have? Oh man. Hell yeah. Glad you brought that up.
Cheers, buddy.
All right. Well, if you'd like to tweet at us about sand or other sand-related things, we'd love to hear from you. We want to know how you feel about sand making it into the Hall of Fame. Tweet at us what things you felt like got snubbed. Like, did sand was it quite not due yet to be inducted?
Yeah, let us know.
Should sticks have gotten there first? Leaves?
Yeah, I mean, like, do you feel like dirt was a better candidate? Like,
yeah,
there's a good argument for that.
Dirt is kind of the larger, like the larger umbrella, right?
Some would say that sand is dirt.
Some would say, yeah, but not the people. Not the people at the Toy Hall of Fame.
No, and we're not trying to land in either camp. Like, just let us know how you feel.
Yeah, I just want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So yeah, tweet at us at comingdownpod. You can email us your thoughts on sand, comingdownpod@gmail.com. Also, we have a Patreon. We're still not, so this month we're still not charging anyone for it, but as of December 1st, we're going to kick it back up. You can join it for as low as $1 a month, and we'll send you like buttons and stickers, and then higher tiers get you shirts and other goodies. And it just like, it helps us pay for our hosting. We're not trying to profit off this, but it really does make a difference so that we can just keep this thing live for as long as humanly possible. So
exactly, you're helping us pay for our hobby.
So everyone who's like stayed on it the whole time, really appreciate you. And if you want to hop on it now, perfectly good time to do it. That'll start December 1st. But for the rest of November, we are still matching donations. If you want to donate to BLM or ACLU, please do that.
Hell yeah.
And we will send you merch for that. And we'll match your donation. So, yeah, do that. Let us know you did it, and we'd love you for it. So, there's the housekeeping stuff. Weirdly enough, the subject of this week's episode is sand. It's not. No, I wanted to pitch to you, because we were talking earlier. We didn't actually know what we were going to talk about tonight, but we did talk a lot about subreddit Antiwork.
Yes.
And I think a lot of our listeners are probably hip to this. I would hope. Yeah,
I mean, just based on the folks that I've talked to about it. Yeah.
Even if you're not a Redditor, you've probably seen it's like been in the news. This subreddit is blowing up. It's huger than... It's like one of the top subreddits these days.
And I'd venture to say that, like, even if you are nowhere near Reddit, you at the very least know that, like, there's a huge movement happening right now in the food service, retail, like all of the fucking jobs.
Yeah, and this is generally in America as well, where there is kind of just this huge amount of people who are not returning to work after the pandemic, and a huge amount of people who have stuck with it and are just leaving their jobs because it's just not worth it anymore to get paid shit-ass wages and be treated like shit by your employer and the public.
Especially when, like in one example, the employer is understaffed and is ostensibly hiring, but is interviewing tons of people and not hiring anyone and still working their fucking understaffed crew, Like, that's only one example. I'm just saying, like, there's Shit is fucked out there.
Yep, and hop onto that subreddit because you'll see just the horror stories of stuff that you've probably experienced and that we have experienced, and that's what I'm prompting you with, is like, not only what were some jobs that you've had where, like, you could make a post on Antiwork right now about it, but also, how did you get back at the system, and how did you actually make your fucking wage at these jobs? Because I've read some posts, like there was one big post that blew up that someone was just like, you know what? I've just completely checked out of my job. They're just office spacing it. And they're like, I'll go in, I'll clock in, and then I just sort of zone out all day. Yeah. And I don't really fucking do anything. And I'm waiting till anyone says anything, and no one has for the last 2 months. So I'm just going because I have to, and I'm collecting a paycheck, and I'm not actually working.
This is crazy because I honestly never thought that I was going to get a chance to talk about this job on this pod, just because it's such a weird niche fucking story, and like there isn't a ton of meat on the bones, but it is like I was going to kind of weasel it into the odd jobs thing, but like it wasn't at all crazy. It was just fucked. Yeah. So it like doesn't really fit in there.
And so perfect, because I've got a couple little like anecdotes, and I figured we could just trade a few of those.
Oh hell
and really just prop up this idea of like there needs to be this huge, well, and there is happening currently a huge reckoning in the American workforce right now. Oh yeah. And
there's a movement happening.
There is, and I really hope it doesn't just fizzle out and everyone just has to go back to being exploited because there's not a better option. You know, I mean
it's tough to say how it's going to pan out because like we were going to maybe get another stimulus here and like
right,
that was going to help, but
we've seen things like this fizzle like in our recent past, like the Occupy movement was just like an insane failure.
Had so much steam,
and the ideas behind it were so correct, and it didn't change one single thing.
Nope.
Regulations on Wall Street haven't changed, like taxation on the rich, like not even, man, and whatever. Y'all probably know where we stand on taxation of the rich, but
absolutely.
Let's even just ignore that, man. Let's close corporate loopholes. Like, let's start there, dude.
Exactly. I mean, like, we that's the thing.
And that was one of the big things that Occupy, like, really wanted to address and tackle was closing corporate loopholes, keeping these companies that, you know, that are American companies, keeping them accountable from, like, keeping their money offshore, getting out of taxation entirely, and just none of that changed. That movement just didn't change a damn thing.
No, and it had everything going for it, and
it did, and then it basically ended up not having any like strong leadership, and the message got muddled. There was kind of a clear message for a minute, but it got pretty muddled, and then
it ended up getting watered down by the media into here's these fucking hippies who are trying to take over our parks, and shouldn't we just arrest them all, you know?
Yeah, and what's shitty is it did sort of just turn into that anyway.
Yep.
Like, it did just sort of turn into people like just camping out in public spaces, and it's like, well,
you know, like,
which
I love.
I'm not shitting on that because
I love that they were bold enough to be like, we have this huge untapped resource, which is this completely dissociated houseless population. Like,
right,
no one gives a fuck about them. If we give a fuck about them and put them in the forefront, maybe they'll get some attention. That was a fucking noble goal.
Right.
Unfortunately, they didn't think it through all the way. And, I mean, you know, what do we know about the houseless? The people who are the most visible are the mentally ill and the drug addicted.
Right.
They're by no means the most representative of that population, but they are the most visible.
Right.
So you put them in the forefront, and it's not really going to do a whole lot of good optics for your movement, you know?
It's definitely not. And then, and if there's no, like, clear leadership, then the whole thing just becomes kind of this, I don't know, just a failed movement.
Right.
And it was a real bummer to see. And, like, man, without getting too...
Yeah, we're not here to dissect the Occupy movement. Like,
no, and I'm not trying to even dissect, like, progressive or leftist movements either. Like, I do think... I will say this much. I do think that there's room for them and we need to have them, and
100%.
And clear, powerful leadership is what they absolutely need, and they often don't. And so I don't know what the answers are there.
I mean, fuck, dude. Like, we all wish that we could have a fucking charismatic fucking 60s leader for all of our fucking movements, but like, fuck, man.
Right.
Those guys are few and far between, and like, even them, they were few and far between. You know?
Right. Well, and and then with just like the political spectrum of what it is, of like, people act like liberals are left, but your run-of-the-mill like liberal Democrat isn't really. They're sort of like center, and then like true leftists don't really have representation politically, so like there's that. I
mean, like, let's be clear that like Democrats are essentially the party, the central party with leftist leanings at this point, and like,
if even
those of us who have real leftist politics tend to get labeled as radicals. You know, like, totally. We're not even progressives anymore. We're just fucking radicals.
Right.
Because we're actually on the left.
And I feel like I don't even have far left views. I just have left.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just have left views, and I'm considered a radical.
Right.
And I'm like, motherfucker, we don't even have a radical fucking left fringe anymore. Like, we used to have a fucking communist party in this country. You know?
Right,
like,
totally.
Ostensibly, that does still exist to some degree, but I'm talking about like...
And it does exist on like the internet. There are like the radical left communist
that was a
folks.
Voting bloc at one point in this country. It was an actual communist party, and like, certainly they did have some ties to Soviet Russia, etc. You know,
of
like,
course.
That wasn't completely a lie, but like, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just saying, like, there used to be actual fucking things happening on the left that weren't just people being like, why isn't there a fucking political party that espouses my views?
Right.
You know? Like,
yeah, and I think that's really like what we're just trying to do with this right now, because I don't want to get into the...
No, and I don't know why
because I could get really fucking like...
Well, I do know where we're harping on it is because we fucking love to talk about this shit. But
and I already kind of probed us with being like, let's talk about subreddit Antiwork, and let's talk about like what the fuck is happening right now. But only as a jumping off point to tell our brand of stuff, which is like some funny stories of like how we have kind of been on the subreddit Antiwork for decades. Been
like living it.
Yeah, and so now seeing people talk about it out loud and seeing it like be kind of popularized, because I always sort of did it in secret, and by did it I mean took advantage of the corporate companies that I worked at.
Oh, sure. I mean, like, just fucking stealing from Big Brother, like
from straight up just stealing all the way down to like not giving a fuck or running like little scams, and that is kind of like,
which I think is just kind of normal for like corporate jobs, you know, like whether you're talking about Pizza Pipeline or fucking
and I think like you always, I don't know. So I've worked for big corporations a lot. I've worked for a handful of small companies. I've never fucked with the small companies I've worked for. Obviously, like startups, mom and pops and stuff like that. Like, I treat those companies with respect. And at the end of the day, like, if I part ways with them because my wage didn't line up or whatever, that wasn't their fault. When I worked at places like Best Buy, or I'll start with my first story.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were coming at me first, but yeah, you go.
I'll just start with my first story. So when I worked for a company called Smoker Friendly, they make cigarettes. They are a brand of cigarette. They also are they have stores, convenience stores, convenience stores, and then they'll tie themselves to gas stations sometimes. So it's like the gas station is Arco or whatever it is, and then the actual store itself is called a Smoker Friendly.
What the fuck?
Yeah, and back in the day, so back when I worked for Smoker Friendly brand, you can still get them. There's one here in Portland on 82nd.
No shit.
Yeah. You can still get Smoker Friendly brand cigarettes. Back when I worked for them, it was 2 packs for $4. This was in 2000. 99, 2000.
And even...
No, 2000, yeah.
Even back then, that's like ridiculously cheap.
Back then, packs of Camels were like $4.50, I think. And then you could get
American Spirits were like $5-6.
Yeah, $5-6. And then, the other cheaper brands like the Dorals or whatever they were called, like those were like $3 or whatever. But the smoker friendlies, man, if you bought 2, they were $4. If you bought 1, I think they were $2.50. Dirt cheap, insane. Utter trash smokes. And we used to buy them for tripping. Because, like, when you trip, you love to smoke. And also, you don't really smoke the cigarette. You light it and fucking...
Talk forever,
get a smell, and then the cherry is a tracer, and you just sort of fucking move that around in front of your face. So,
well, that makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised we didn't think about getting discount smokes for tripping.
Oh man, that was like the move. It's like if we knew we were gonna like be on acid all night, you buy 4 packs of smoker friendlies for less than $10, and then you're just like, whatever, whatever, doesn't matter.
Like if a pack of American Spirits was $5 back then that means that like 10 cigarettes were $2.50, so cigarettes were 25 cents a piece. So that means I lit a few quarters on fire by lighting the filter in the dark.
Oh yeah, dude.
Because I would only fucking smoke American Spirits when I was tripping, and like sometimes we were in a cave and like you're just like reefing on this cigarette and you can't figure out why it's not lighting, and it's because you're an idiot and you're just setting fiberglass on fire.
I still light a filter like probably once a year. Like, it just happens. You put one in your hand or you put it in your ear, and you flip it around, and you start talking, and then next thing you know, you're lighting a filter on fire, and you're like, "Fuck! All right, here we go." Yeah. Anyway, so I worked at this place called Smoker Friendly, but the gas station attached to it was called Gasomat, so it was the Smoker Friendly Gasomat.
What?
Yeah. Or as we like to call it, the stroker-friendly Gasomat.
So Gasomat is kind of like laundromat, but Gasomat?
I mean, literally, yeah, it said Gasomat on the fucking sign, and then it was a smoker-friendly inside. So
carry on, sir.
So
holy fuck.
It was just a clerk job. I just stood behind a counter, sold people cigarettes, sold people gas.
Wait, hold on. So the gas station that you worked at was the smoker-friendly Gasomat?
The smoker-friendly Gasomat.
I cannot believe that I've known you for this long and that you've never mentioned to me the name.
Oh, yeah.
Of the fucking...
Well, and
I've heard some stories about this gas station.
Well, no. So, I worked for, let's see, in Fort Collins, I worked for 5 different gas stations over the course of many years.
You were a career gas station
I was
worker.
kind of a career clerk, man.
Yeah.
And in no short part, thanks to Kevin Smith's Clerks, I was like, well, this is kind of the dream job. and entry level, no fucking schooling in Fort Collins because, yeah, I mean, you're either working like some sort of retail, like maybe at the mall or a big box store, or you're working at a gas station because there are gas stations literally fucking everywhere in Fort Collins. Like out here, it's a little different because they have to pay people to pump gas, so the overhead on just owning a gas station is like higher out here because you have this extra 1 or 2 employees that have to just stand around and do a job that literally anyone could do. I like it. I like that it provides jobs for folks like who want just like the slacker ass job, because man,
I'm with you.
Being a pump attendant, like, probably isn't a great job, but it's probably not the worst, man.
I tell you what, if you're fresh out of fucking prison, you can fucking do that job. See,
and that's what those jobs are for. Fresh out of prison, fresh out of high school, hell, fucking even going through college and you just need to work part-time, man. You just work a 6-hour shift Monday and Thursday or whatever.
And like, straight up, that's why Oregon has this law.
And and I really support it. I think it's cool, man. It's like, yeah, we don't need you, but we could have you. Yep. And it does sort of add to a quality of life. I'll tell you what, man.
You don't have to get out of your car.
Man, just being able to pull up, hand someone my card and be like, fill her up.
Shit, man. I feel like gas stations are missing a beat here. They could be like, do you need anything from inside the store? Fucking plug in your car, go get you your shit, bring it out to you, and then fucking run your card.
So the Astro on 39th and Powell, because they're not an actual store, it's just a little tiny kiosk, they will go and grab you cigarettes. That's all they sell is gas and cigarettes and maybe like 20-ounce like sodas or something.
And probably
you could be
chew, but like...
Oh, and like tobacco, yeah. But like Yeah, I think
that's the smartest business model I've ever
because
heard of.
I'll roll through there and be like, fill it up, also pack of Camels, and they'll be like, be right back, and fucking hook me up.
Holy fucking shit.
And also, I mean, gas stations started full service. I mean,
absolutely.
It was like you pulled up, they filled your shit, they checked your air pressure,
right,
and they washed your windows.
So in the past, there were gas stations. So most gas stations had 2 tiers of service. Mm-hmm. It was the full service one, and then the fucking you pump your own gas one. Mm-hmm. But then there were ones that had like fucking the works. You know, it was like you had you pump your own gas one. You had the like, we're gonna wash your windshield and pump your gas one, and then there was the like, we're gonna check your fucking air pressure, check your oil, fucking all the things,
right,
you know,
yeah,
like,
totally. The full service, yeah,
exactly,
yeah, the full Monty,
exactly,
yeah.
And I mean that was just standard procedure for gas stations. You know, that's why they had that cover so that they could fucking check your oil.
Well, and back when you had to like compete for business, right? If
right.
It's like, well, there's 2 gas stations in town, well, come on down to Al's because we do all this fucking extra work for you.
Exactly.
I mean, anymore, it's just like, I just need fucking gas in my car to get to work, and I'm running late. So, like, and that's the downside of the attendant shit out here, because sometimes I am running late to get to work, and I pull up.
You could just stick a credit card in there and fucking go like, for it, but man, you gotta wait for this toothless motherfucker to come check you out.
I could just do this. I could just get out and do it and be fucking out of here. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I still support the fucking the model. I think it's great to provide jobs for entry level folks, folks out of prison, you know, folks with mental illnesses, just like stuff that they can do.
Well, and there is another thing that I feel like is being missed by the capitalist fucking gas culture here in this state, which is that you can just get a Pacific Pride membership and pump your own fucking gas.
Whoa.
At Pacific Pride.
Okay.
Because it's a small business membership gas station.
Wild.
Where they just have gas pumps.
I always thought that was like trucker shit.
I mean, that's what trucking corporations use as where you fill up.
Yeah.
But like my dad had like 3 trucks in his business.
Interesting.
And he had Pacific Pride cards for all of them.
Yeah, so we took Pacific Pride in Colorado at one of the gas stations I worked at, and we had to like run it through a whole different machine, like because it's not a credit card or whatever.
But Pacific Pride has their own gas pumps. Like they have their own gas stations.
Interesting.
And granted, there's like probably I think there was like 2 in Bend, so it's like you've got to like go to where
plan
that
out
is.
Where you're going. Yeah.
But there is the second option, which is like limited gas memberships, where and like I'm guessing the reason that this hasn't happened outside of small businesses is that rich people just don't care.
Right.
But I was always a little surprised that rich people weren't like, God damn it, I want my own like robot fucking drive-through gas service that's faster than these fucking homeless people, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that just failed to materialize.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I can tell you this much, that when I worked, because I ended up becoming an assistant manager at one of the later gas stations, not the smoker friendly. So I did all the books, and I actually saw what we made. And much like movie theaters, gas stations make pennies on the dollar.
I'm not surprised.
On the oil, on the gas they sell. It's all about trying to get you to buy a soda or cigs or fucking candy bars or coffee or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so, which is why, like, when I see just gas stations, like, I wonder how the fuck that Astro, because they also have like the cheapest gas in town. And then they have a little cigarette kiosk, but that's it anyway.
Yeah, who knows? I would love to speculate, but I'm probably wrong.
So when I worked at Smoker Friendly Gasomat, I think I probably got paid minimum wage, which back then was $5.15 an hour, which is back then also, much like minimum wage now, was not a fucking wage you could live on. That wasn't a wage that I could get an apartment or even a room with roommates.
No.
Even working full time, and I wasn't getting full time.
That's high school kid money.
Yeah. And I mean, it was laughable. And so I found ways to make ends meet. And I did that through a few ways at this gas station. The first way was what we called lottery scam. So
I'm already here for this.
yeah, and so lottery scam was, we had these regulars that would come in and buy scratch tickets.
Sure.
And they were scratch ticket junkies. So they would come in, buy like 10 tickets at a time, walk out to their car, scratch them, and then come back in, give us the winner tickets. And, you know, for those who haven't done scratch tickets, most scratch tickets are, you like, if you win, you just win your money back.
Yeah, almost all of them have some kind of a shitty win on them.
Yeah, and it's usually like every, you know, within 10 or so, like, you're gonna win your money back on a few of them. Some you'll get kind of a higher tier win. So, like, on a $5 scratch ticket, a lot of them will just be your $5 back. Some will be like $50.
Right. Over a long enough period, I think you can expect at least, 40 to 49% return. But like,
I wouldn't even say.
Oh wait,
that.
no. I'm sorry.
No, I wouldn't say
I'm
that.
sorry. Jesus. No, I'm talking about if you're trying to build a fair slot machine.
Oh. Yeah.
I forgot. No. I forgot that those are fair odds. Is when the house has a 51% win rate.
Right.
My bad.
Yeah. No, they're bad odds, and they do just prey on people. But like, man, I had this lady who came in all the time. So we had a number of regulars who did this. There was this one lady who had this like binder, because she would download shit off the internet and thought she had like a method, because the tickets are also numbered. So they, so you get like a roll in, and they go in the little slot and they go through this roll, and then you have to sell them in an order, and they're numbered. So like, again,
of course they all have a serial number, but
well, they have a serial number, and then they're also numbered within the pack. So it's like,
okay,
$5 ticket rolls have like 50 tickets in the roll. And she like had all this fucking, she had this binder and all this stuff worked out, and she was like, yeah, on these ones, it's like the odd ones that end in 3, or like it was like the 10s and the 30s that end in 3 are going to be more prominent winners. And so she would come in and she would ask, what number's that ticket on? And I'd be like, it's on 32. And she'd be like, ooh, I'll take 4 of those. And she'd be like, oh, well, it's in this range. So if it's like, yeah. And so she had this.
So she's crunching math on the fucking sample size of her.
Dude, math. Yeah. But I don't know. She's like downloading information off the internet, I guess.
Yeah,
or
guess
something.
what? None of it fucking matters. Like,
we also had this guy that we called him the Mailman, because he was a mailman. I know, incredibly clever, but he was so fucking man. He was a character. He would come in and he would just be off his shift too. He had his mailman shorts on, and he was really soft spoken, and especially when he was buying his tickets. So he'd walk up, he'd be like, "Yeah, can I get a pack of the whatever smokes he smoked, pack of Durell hundreds."
Oh my God.
And then he'd lean in and be like, all right, sir. All right. And he'd call us all like, sir, like lady, like, all right, lady. All right, sir. Can I get 3 of those wild 7s, 2 of the da-da-das, and he'd like lean in and be like real serious. And he'd be like, yeah, we'll get those for you. And then like, that's how he would roll. And then he also would go out to his car, scratch him, bring him back in. So what we figured out is that, yeah, so there is like, within like a chunk of tickets, within a run of tickets, within a roll even, let's say, there's going to be an amount of winners. Because you got to keep people hooked, right? You got to keep people pulling the lever, right?
Okay, sure, yeah. Just like in any given box of magic cards, there's going to be X number of mythics.
Exactly,
whatever,
right?
Yeah.
And so so they wouldn't just give you a losing streak. Like if you bought 10 tickets in a row, a few of those are at least going to be money back winners.
Sure.
If not like $50 hits or $20 hits, right?
Right.
So what we would do is we would watch the mailman or binder lady or any cadre of the other fucking scratch junkies who would come in. They'd come in, buy a stretch of tickets. They'd buy like 5 to 10 of one stretch of tickets, And then we'd watch them go out to their car and scratch.
Yep.
And then if they came walking back in empty-handed, I'd tear off the first, 3 and just shove them under the counter. And then they'd buy their next stretch of 10. And then I would purchase those tickets for me later. And it fucking worked.
Yeah.
Man.
I was going to say, this is the exact same math that my buddy John's parents, who used to live in Vegas, used to use on slot machines. But they were smart.
Okay.
They only drank coffee.
Uh-huh.
They tipped their waitresses huge.
Mm-hmm.
And any time that there was a blue hair who sat on a fucking slot machine all day and didn't cash out, their waitress would let them know.
Oh, shit.
And if they ever cashed on a machine that someone let them know about, they split it.
Fuck. Yep. So, see, it's exactly that, right? Because whatever the algorithm is, whatever the pattern they create, it's enough to keep you hitting the feeder bar, right?
Right. And if you don't hit it, you know it's coming.
Yep. So this is basically exactly what we did. And I guess now that I'm saying it all out loud, I guess we knew then too that we were just absolutely fucking these people over, but they were fucking themselves over.
You're not fucking anyone. You're using pattern recognition.
Yes.
To capitalize.
Yeah. And if you're a scratch junkie, you're just fucking yourself over. So,
I mean, that's an addiction. And I'm not trying to...
Yep.
I'm not trying to, enable anything here, but,
Right. It is, yeah.
You're a fucking broke-ass motherfucker, too, you know?
Yep. Well, and I was a broke-ass motherfucker, and...
What are you going to do? Not buy the thing that you know is money?
Right, and... Man. So...
And what is every other fucking clerk in the world who has a brain in their head doing, you know?
Well, and we all figured this out, because I worked there with my boy Pat, and these two other guys, Will and oh my god, I still remember their names because we all fucking got along really well. But yeah, we all knew the scams to run. So lottery scam was number one.
Sure.
And it fucking worked, man.
Well, that's just a numbers game. Yeah.
So often, yeah, you would watch Mailman fucking come walking back in empty-handed, snap off 1 to 3 tickets off that roll. Fucking stash them, buy them later. We'd scratch them. Well, and we weren't on camera, man. This is the year 2000. We're not on camera, so there's fucking nothing. Actually, maybe we were on camera, but
even if you were, as long as you're paying for them.
We had caught the manager and the assistant manager doing coke in the manager's office multiple times, so they weren't fucking doing anything.
Yeah.
One of the assistant managers at that place, this dude Luis, he took the paperwork and the money bags home one weekend, and then when the head, the DM came in and was like, where's all the money in the safe and this weekend's paperwork? We were like, I don't fucking know, man. And he was like, who was the manager this weekend? And we were like, Luis, man. And then turns out Luis took it all home to try and crank a ton of coke and figure out how he could cook some books, dude. And that didn't work out, and his ass got fired. But
oh man,
this is the kind of place we worked in. And also, and because our managers were actively trying to poorly cook books and also steal money from this company, our DM would come in and he'd come in red-faced fuming, and he'd be and then he'd come to us clerks and be like, all right, how do you ring up cigarettes? And we'd be like, with this PLU, with this number. And he'd be like, okay, how do you ring up chew? And be like, with the chew button, the button right here that says chew. Yeah, that's the one. And then he'd be like, well, how do you ring up soda? And be like, with the soda button. I got the 20 ounce and I got the 12, And
oh, you mean the 3 buttons we use?
Yeah, use the 3 buttons for soda. Yeah, that's how we do it. And he'd just be like, fucking Michael, fucking Luis, what, and he like fucking loses his mind and tear into the back office and be like, why are we $30,000 short on this fucking weekend? And like, and we'd all just be like, oh man, glad we can just run all of our scams and like no one's paying attention to us. So that's also why it worked out, is because all the management was just like the worst. And like, oh my god. So that was the one that worked the most, was just the straight up fucking, but if the Scratch Junkies didn't come in, we still need to make our extra $50 for the night. So here was the second one we would do.
Oh, Nelly.
This was hilarious because our little rack of fucking scratch tickets was directly across the aisle. So like we're just back in this little counter, and it's directly across the aisle from the state-funded lottery machine, the like big blue machine that you scan the barcodes in that tells you if it's a winner. You also use that machine to like print out the lotto tickets, not the lottery scratchers,
right?
Like the pick your number ones. And so we could just grab the ticket from the end of the roll, pull it out so that the barcode would hit the barcode scanner, and we could scan it, and then it would tell us if it was a winner or not. And if it was a winner, then we just tear it off and buy it. And then if it wasn't, we just shove the tickets back into the roll, and we're like, well, the one on the end's not a winner.
Fucking glory.
Yeah. And so then if that didn't work, if all the fucking tickets were losers on the end, then Gasomat was literally nicknamed Gas-a-Steel or Gas and Steel, some version of that, because we had drive-offs constantly. And this actually brings us back to the fucking gas attendant thing.
Oh, and I have a thing to add here at the end about stealing from gas stations.
Yeah,
with people who work there.
So anyone who lives anywhere that's not Oregon, you have to either pay at the pump or prepay now. Like,
right.
That has changed many, many years ago. But back in the day, all the way as far back as the year 2000, you could just drive up, pull the fucking pump out, fill your tank up, put the pump back, and then you were just expected to, on your own volition, walk into the gas station and pay for it. You just would walk in and be like, I'm on pump 2. And I'd look at it and be like, yep, that's $30 or whatever.
Okay, like, I've grown up in, like, I've lived my whole life, apart from a little stint in California, in a state where someone else pumped your gas.
Yep.
And so the whole time I lived in California, I had to put a card in the thing.
Right? No.
So at one point in America, there was a time when you could just honor system pump gas and walk into the store.
That's literally how it worked, man. Like, in Colorado and probably most of the country.
Well, I'm saying, like, when I was 19, this was 98.
Yeah.
So California had just credit card systems at that point.
Did they really? Because we fucking didn't. Podunk, Colorado did absolutely not have credit card systems. That
honestly tracks. California was probably like at the fucking cutting edge.
They had to have been, because it was probably a fucking problem in California.
And it was only on the interstates.
Okay,
I'm sorry. The only data that I have is from interstates. But
and I would guess that in smaller towns in California, it operated the same for a good long while.
It had to.
Yeah.
I mean, like, based on what I know of, like, changing infrastructure.
At Gasomat, it didn't have a digital readout. It had a little ticker, a little, like, number flipper, like, basically. Well,
guess what? There's still gas pumps here in Oregon that have that.
It's true.
But there's
someone to pump it for you.
Yeah. Who's going to talk to you about his day, and he's probably pretty cool.
Yeah, totally.
Who's pumping your gas.
I mean, it was just notorious. Like, people would just come, fill, and they were called drive-offs. It was just like, someone would come, fill. Oftentimes, they wouldn't even hang the pump up. They'd just, like, throw it and hop in the car and fucking take off, right? And it's like, fuck, got a drive-off. We actually had... So, this is the hilarious thing. They couldn't figure it out to hire an actual pump attendant. So, we actually had someone on staff who was supposed to sit at the front door. They did no other job except watch the pumps and watch for drive-offs. And then only when a drive-off happened, they were supposed to run out the front door and write down the license plate number.
So let me just make sure I've got this straight. Instead of paying someone to pump people's gas, you just paid someone to sit there and watch for someone to steal.
Yeah, and we'd always get the laziest fucking person to do that job, and they'd just, like, read a book or, like, not pay attention at all.
Well, that's what I would do.
Yeah, dude. Because, like, most of the time, it's fucking nothing. You're watching water boil. Like, it's just nothing. You're just watching, like, yeah.
I mean, at that point, you might as well just, like, put a person in front of every line and just be like, with their arms stretched out, just like, did you pay? Okay, bye.
Yeah. And then they could just be like, yeah, I paid. And they're like, okay, you probably did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hilarious, dude. Oh, man.
But I get it. Like, changing the fucking infrastructure is probably more expensive than paying some asshole
it's not like
$5 an hour.
It's not like you couldn't hire someone to pump someone's gas in Colorado. It's not like that was illegal.
Well, and in fact, I want to say that in other states, before things got so fucking shitty and cutthroat, that was the deal with the full service line.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we already talked about this.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's the you pump your own gas line, and then there's the one with the fucking guy with the bellhop hat who's, like, wiping your windshield and checking your oil and pumping your gas. Like,
right.
Yeah, and, like, I don't understand.
Yeah, dude. None of us understood anything about this place except we knew how to fucking make our money. So, our third scam, if the lottery shit didn't work out, the third scam was just to straight up print up a ticket and call it a drive-off. Because, again, there were no cameras. So...
Okay, so for, like, Keno, where you're, like, actually printing out a ticket?
Well, so, like a receipt, like a...
oh, got it. So you rang up a ticket.
Well, so, if someone pumped a tank of gas and then drove off and never paid, that registered in our little system of, like, this much gas got pumped, this is what's owed to us. If they drove off, we would just hit print on that, and it would print up a receipt for that stolen gas, and then we would just write our initials and the date on it and write drive off. And then those just went into our drawer, and when we balanced the drawer at the end of the night, there was a slot for drive offs. Because they were just so common. It was like, you just account for that when you balance your drawer at the end of the night. And so, you couldn't do it if there were already, like, 3 natural drive-offs that day, and that was pretty common. But if I had a day where there were no drive-offs, I would just go back through and, like, be like, oh, that $40 fill? Boom, hit the ticket.
Oh!
Rip it off, write drive-off, and then take $40 out of the fucking register.
No one was correlating gas levels with gas purchased?
Well, yeah, they were. I mean, right? Because, like, well, and that's what the managers would do, is they'd balance those books. They would look at our drawer sheets at the end of the night.
But if, let's say you rang up, like, 8 gallons of gas as a drive-off, nobody was going to notice that, like, that wasn't missing from the gas reserves?
Oh, no, they would. Yeah, they would, because it would be written off as a drive-off. It's like, that gas is missing.
But I'm saying if that gas never got pumped...
No, the gas...
It wasn't noticed as a surplus?
So, this is the thing, is like, our POS system was so basic, right?
And this is why I'm asking this question.
Yeah. So, I could just take any interaction during the day and just print off a receipt, write drive off on it, and then take that amount out of the register, because when I balance my drawer at the end of the night, that's all that matters.
But no one was accounting gas purchases versus gas in the pumps.
Well, they were, but because the gas got pumped, it got paid for, and then I said that it was a drive-off, even though it wasn't.
This is what I'm missing.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So
got it. Okay,
so this is what we would do.
Someone showed up, pumped $40 worth of gas, gave you money.
Paid the $40
You
for
just took the money
and
marked it as a drive-off.
Yes.
I don't know why it's taken me this long to figure this out.
Yes, that's exactly. So this was the third scam. This was the after the lottery shit didn't work out.
This scam makes the most sense to me.
Well, this scam only worked
because there's no cameras.
Because there's no cameras, and only if you hadn't had any drive-offs during your shift. Because you had 2 or 3 during every shift. It was just so fucking common.
Oh my god.
So if I already had So if I already had 3 drive-offs,
so this is predicated on rampant theft.
Well, and so you start getting people in trouble when you start like putting the 4th drive-off in your drawer, and then it's like, well, why wasn't the attendant watching the pumps? Why weren't you fucking watching the pumps? Because I had a little window to see out there too.
Right. But if there's a day with no
drive-offs, then I write off one for $40.
I mean, if you're not writing off at least one, it's
weird.
Like,
it's weird if you don't have one.
That's crazy. Yeah. What a fucking day, am I right?
Well, and then sometimes we would combine everything, and so sometimes we would take the $40 for a drive-off and then invest that into scratchers. And turn that into $100. Which, sometimes you would take that $40, invest it into scratchers, and lose and be like, shit, I guess we're not buying beer tonight.
But occasionally
you would fucking really score and be like, we're all gonna fucking make out like a bandit here.
God damn it. Like, there's a certain fucking savoir faire in the whole, like, well, win some, lose some.
Yep.
Tonight might be a fucking feast or it might be a famine.
So it was like that. So not every shift was I, like, gonna go home with extra cash in my pocket. But a lot of shifts, I went home with extra cash in my pocket.
You motherfucker.
We also had a 4th scam that was only occasional. And this was a wild fucking time. Back in the day, you used to get these promo packs of cigarettes. And they would come in these white cartons with big stamps all over them that said, like, not for individual sale, da-da-da-da-da, right?
Yep.
But since we didn't have a scan-in system, it was only just a punch it into the register system. We would get the cigarette reps would come in, and again, this was often on the cheap cigs, but sometimes Camels.
Right.
But often it was on like Dorals and like Salem's and stuff like that.
Well, and I don't know if this ever happened to you in bars, but like, did you ever have the cig reps come in and like just fucking hand out cigarettes to everyone?
Oh yeah, I mean
bar?
that was always the best night at the bar when the fucking cigarette walked up and they had their little fucking tappy pad and they're like, and they had to see your ID. They're like, I gotta get your ID. I gotta put all this fucking data mining information in. But then they just hand you cigarettes plus like coupons and stuff.
Maybe it was just because it was like late 90s, early aughts, but like there was a time where like if you were in a bar, someone was just handing you fucking cigarettes and being like, do you also want a t-shirt and like a fucking you know, fucking checkbook? I don't know, like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I did run into those. There was this like stretch in time too where they did have like a little ticker thing that they would like have to type stuff into and be like, I gotta see your ID just to verify. Because
eventually, like, they realized that they were just giving fucking cigarettes to underage people in bars, you know, totally, and like that doesn't look good.
But yeah, so we would get these promo packs in that were like buy two get ones, and it would be packed in just like a regular carton, but then they'd be kind of in these individually wrapped or like. That's the thing. They were just in these cardboard sleeves, and it would be like a cardboard sleeve around 2 packs of cigarettes, and then a little flap that had an additional pack, and they were meant to be sold as promos for people who come in and like they smoke Dorals, and you're supposed to tell them like, oh, because it was for people who come in and buy 1 pack, and it's like, well, if you buy 2, you get a third for free, and then it would get everyone like, obviously you're gonna do that. So what we would do, though, is rip all of those fucking open, knock them out of their sleeves, put the two in, like the two packs that like needed to be sold as 2 packs that were accounted for would go into the fucking rack, and then the additional one would just get sold on its own.
Oh yeah.
And so all we had to do was sell 4 or 5 of those bonus packs as regular packs of cigarettes, and then just pocket that money.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So, but those would only last for so long because we'd run out of the promos, and then it's like, all right, we're back to lottery scam or drive off scam.
That's an even better scam than the guys at the liquor store had. Like, they would just take the fucking airplane bottles as a bonus off of every bottle because OLCC doesn't count those.
Right. Yeah, because it's just like shrink wrapped onto the larger bottle.
Right, and then they would try to trade those for stuff. You know, it's just kind of like, all right, man. Like,
yeah, dude.
I don't know how many airplane bottles you can trade for this shit, but like, we got you.
Yeah. So
that
anyway,
was a piece of pipeline trade.
Oh yeah, right. Someone coming in with a bunch of fucking airplane bottles, be like, "Yo, can we get a pizza?"
Yeah, well, give us a dozen. We'll give you a fucking carryout special,
dude. Oh man, I'm not gonna get into it here because I've got other movie theater stories to tell. But when I worked at the movie theater, it was also similar. There was just really no like paperwork on our little free passes. They were just these little construction paper tear off passes that just said if you own this and you hand it to the fucking person, they owe you a movie ticket.
Right.
And they didn't have serial numbers or anything, and we just had rolls of them upstairs. And so like I just kept them in my wallet and would just tip people at bars, and I'd be like, "Hey, I know I'm only giving you a $5 tip on my like $40 tab, and that's or my $50 tab, and I know that's like a little shitty, but also here are 5 movie passes.
Fuck yeah.
These are worth $10 each, and I promise you walk into this theater, you'll just get in."
Right.
And people would kind of side eye me, but then I'd see them a week later, and they'd be like, "Oh, dude, it's you," and I'd be like, "Yeah, what movie you seeing?" Like,
fuck yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but anyway. So that's my smoker-friendly gasomat scams, and that was how I actually made a fucking living wage at a place that didn't want to pay anyone a living wage.
Hey, man.
And was also just willing to let people steal from them, willfully.
Well, and so, like, this is the only thing that I'm going to tack on to the gas station story is that I knew a homie who is going to absolutely remain nameless here, but, like, the homie in Eugene was like, "Hey, people steal from us all the fucking time, and we turn the cameras off at this time, and like nobody really fucking checks anything. It's just like we have a certain amount of fucking theft protection and whatever."
Yeah.
And so like there was a couple of times where we just showed up to the gas station, and like we were always like respectful. We never carried off more than we were gonna use that night.
Sure, yeah.
But we carried off a lot of shit. Yeah. And I was like, gummy worms? Fucking hell yeah. Are you kidding me? Also, all the Pringles I can carry, and then the beer, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we've got priorities. Like,
yep.
And the fucked up thing is, like, I didn't really key into the beer thing until, like, I'd already filled my pockets with an embarrassing amount of snacks. And then I was like, wait a minute, man, like, what about beer? And he's like, okay, so, like, the whole idea is that we were going to steal beer. I don't know what you're doing, but it's fine. Also, you can steal beer. Like, fucking goddamn it. Here I am trying to be respectful, only stealing things that kids will steal, you know? Like,
well, I thought my Pringle bounty was pretty sweet,
but it turns out that, like, adults are the ones who steal things. So when you're just stealing gummy worms, like, that's actually going to get noticed. Like,
yeah, totally.
Fuck, man.
That's so funny.
Anyway.
Hell yeah.
Good times.
Thank you.